Vlog 22. I did a documentary for YouTube. It was about self-image, and two of the questions were, what do you personally feel is the single greatest burden of being beautiful? And what do you personally feel is the single greatest disadvantage of being beautiful? Now, what was interesting about these questions was some people thought I was talking about them, but if you change the context and say, what's the single greatest advantage of being a professional athlete? Obviously they would know whether I was talking to them or not if they were professional athletes. So it kind of had this effect of like people automatically had the assumption that if you talked about being beautiful, you were talking about them. And there were people that went out of their way to say that they weren't beautiful before they answered the question to make sure that people weren't seeing them as being arrogant or delusional in their self-image to a certain degree. Even though many of the people that I interviewed I felt were exceptionally above average in terms of their physical appearance and their looks and their level of attractiveness. But obviously they didn't either want to be seen as that way or they genuinely didn't see themselves that way. But so this leads me to not necessarily the documentary that I did, but the effect of physical attractiveness on YouTube and the success of YouTube because of the sexual component of videos and the kind of the unique aspect of videos. I mean, you kind of saw a precursor of this with Friendster or MySpace, where obviously attractive people, or people with attractive pictures, I should say, get lots of friend requests and lots of interest and things like this. And but I think with video and the interactivity, the inherent interactivity of YouTube, I think it pushes this into a much more of a hyperdrive or a hyper sexualized type of environment. There's a lot of flirting, a lot of people trying to get other people's attention, usually through comments or private messages or sometimes video responses. And some people really play this up. I mean, obviously people like Hot for Words, or even someone like Cater17, who isn't overtly sexual. She's an extremely attractive woman and certainly would have a fraction of her subscribers, most likely, if she was just plain Jane or no one saw her face or anything like that in her videos, even though she is quite talented. So I guess the question is what, I really don't have a really good formed question that really encompasses everyone, but what is the boundary for attractiveness? I mean, using your sexuality, male or female, because I see a lot of kind of boy band type channels, or not boy band channels, but boy band looking people, kind of that young, kind of coiffed or whatever, type guys that have legions of girl followers, and obviously the reverse, attractive women having tons of guy followers. And if you have one of those channels, what do you think about it? Or when you see that, when you see people being overtly sexual, or not even overtly sexual, but obviously part of their appeal, or a significant part of their appeal, is their physical appearance, is their sexiness. That is maybe apart from their personality. Their personality, if separated, really wouldn't be all that exceptional or noteworthy or worthy of the attention that they're receiving. Because I can think of many channels that I'm subscribed to where the person, obviously their attractiveness is a big component of why I watch them. And I like to think that it's not the only component, but I'd be lying to myself if I were to say that wasn't the case. And I don't know. I don't really feel bad about that. I feel like that's part of who they are, and that's part of their appeal, and that's the value of any video, is just the value that the viewer sees from the video, whatever components it may be, whether it be 18-year-old girl dancing in her underwear in front of a webcam, all the way to reading scenes of Hamlet or something like that. The gambit of what is quality, what is offered to the person who's watching. But I really feel like no one really talks about this, the sexuality of YouTube and how that leads to the success of YouTube in many ways. But I just like to get people's opinion on this. And what do you think? What is the boundaries? Is there can it go too far, or anything goes, or is there a self-respect thing that people have that they wouldn't do but they would like to see others do? Those type of things. Yeah, I don't know. I'm sorry this isn't well formed, but what's your opinion of sexuality on YouTube? and I think it's not talked enough. I think people it's a taboo almost. But so anyway, I'll talk to you guys tomorrow. Bye bye.